Hello and welcome to Apex Racing TV's live coverage of F3 Masters here on Dutchies-Esports Twitch. We join you from Circuit Park Zandvoort, a historic circuit on the beaches of the Netherlands. My name's Dane Baird, and joining me in the commentary box for today's event is Alessandro Dalladone with Samu Licuno on the cameras and controlling the overlay that you're seeing on your screen. So, Alessandro, how's it going?
Going fabulous. Thank you, Dane. Ready for this beautiful race, an historic event that has been moved here on our channel and on Dutchies-Esports Twitch channel for today's race.
As we can see, qualifying has just got the checkered flag, so we'll have a 1 hour race on the way shortly. We've got a large grid of drivers. They're all pretty close together as well. We can see the top 20 drivers separated by a second. And it looks like it's going to be a good race. We can see Circuit Park Zandvoort. It's a very twisty and narrow circuit. So not expecting to have the most action-packed race. As we can see some of the drivers here. Allied Racing Esports. That's a name that some people may know. They raced in GT4 and also the Porsche Cup in Germany, so they're making the move over to the Netherlands for the F3 Masters. We can see Paul Ilbrink, obviously a regular contender in Formula 3.5, the official series, which is also broadcast on Apex Racing TV. We've got some other famous names in here as well, haven't we, Alessandro?
Yes, for sure. We have Beshke Visser, the Dutch pride that also contends in the Formula W series, and also in the past year she has been running in the Formula Renault series, and also the Dutch presenter of Ziggo Sport F1, Rob Kamphuis, the Martin Brundle of the Dutch television.
Yeah, definitely. So some well-known names in here. We're gonna finish off qualifying now. I think the drivers are just finishing their final laps. You can see all the drivers retired to the pit lane, and they're all finished their laps, and I think qualifying is finished. All of the drivers seem to be either in the pit lane or out of the car, so we can probably get the grid up for you in just a moment's time. As we can see Zandvoort on the beaches. It's a fantastic circuit. Supposed to be hosting Formula 1, but with the world events currently, it's had to miss out on that one, and they did a nice renovation of the circuit, but this was scanned before then, so we've got the old version of the circuit. It's not got that really high banking on the final corner, and it's got the old profiling of some of the corners, but it should make for some half-decent racing. Here we go. We've got the grid on screen for you. We've got Paul Ilbrink on pole position, a 10th ahead of Sam Kuttert. And we've got Fabian Segman in 3rd position, David Holland in 4th, the man from Texas. We've got Jim Hertroys in 5th position. We've got Stein Handgraf in 6th, Yannick Van in 7th, Leo Eich in 8th position, Tom Walstra in 9th. Then we've got Yuri Gamelkorn in 10th position, Daryl Van in 11th, Weitske Visser in 12th position. That's just half a second from the front of the grid. We've got Jerry Alders in 13th. We've got Tim Rutten in 14th. Alain Bassaglu, Peter De Hoys. We've got Charles Jalving, Raymond Dio. I'm going to butcher some of these names. Also from the States, we've got Jasper Reichen from 19th position. And then we've got David Plasman, still separated by less than a second from the leaders. And we've got Marcel Kempenaar, Perry Oosterveer. We've got Martin Versleeuwen. Oh dear. And then we've got Karsten van Eyck in the Allied Racing Esports team. And we've got Tom Voss in 25th, a large grid for you today. We've got Mona Arafag, and we've got Wout Damon, Michael Cupers, Larry DeLange, the organizer, and we've got Rob Kamphuis, as mentioned earlier, Rick Vanema, Mark Verschuur, Davy Reitzma, Fabian Baumeister. We've got Oscar Wilkins, Jerome Van in 36th position, and then in 37th we've got Matisse Kervizi in the number 38 car in the 37th position, only separated by 2 seconds in qualifying, and we can see the lights starting to come on, the revs build up for 1 hour of racing at Circuit Park Zandvoort, and we go green in Zandvoort. It seems like it's a good start from Paul Ilbrink. He's got an early gap from ahead of the guy in second position. We've got a car out in the back. There's a fairly big incident at the back. There's a lot of drivers involved in that one. Wow, look at that. Pieces of carbon fiber going everywhere. We've got wheels off. That looks like Raymond Yo, and a lot of drivers moving on the timing tower, as you can see it. Some drivers have made up some positions. We've got Paul Ilbrink still leading the race as they come through turn 4. No position changes at the front end of the field so far. But that big incident, we'll try and get a replay of what happened there once we finish the first lap. I think Vice Pavista was also involved in that one as well.
Yeah, good start for the first few rows, but then in the middle it seemed like somebody had a little difficulty starting the car, and obviously with the amount of people coming behind, the inevitable happened. Meantime, we saw a big slide for Yannick van der Zande in the 97 car. He's now trying to defend his position.
Yeah, that's Van going up the inside into this tricky place to overtake. He's now going to the outside line. It looks like Van der Zande has just held on in 6th position for Dutchies-Esports. But no position changes so far in the top 5. Van der Zande up 1 place from Handgraf just behind him. Looks like Van has fallen down the order, which is unfortunate for him. He's down in 10th now. You can see them all fighting down to complete the first lap. You can see cars going side by side. Who's this? This is Tom Wallstrom making a move up the inside of Handgraf. And it looks like he's made that one stick very nicely indeed in that fetching black and orange livery. We've also got some moves being made further back as well as they head into this tricky section. Some dust, some smoke up in the air from drivers locking up their brakes. It is a downhill braking zone. Very, very easy to lock the brakes going into theirs. We can see now Ilbrink under pressure from Sam. Just coming around this long right-hander towards a pretty technical section of the circuit, very open, not really a place to overtake. So we can see the track map now on the right-hand side of the screen where all of your drivers are. We've got pretty big gaps beginning to form, but not at the front of the field. We've got lots of drivers still separated by just a few seconds. So we can see Sam here in 2nd place, looking ahead at Paul Ilbrink. He's not going to have the draft to make a move into this corner as we saw Van try it just a few minutes ago. He's very close on the back of Paul Ilbrink. He's going to run a bit wide. You don't want to be doing that too much. You might get a slowdown penalty for that. For anyone who's new to iRacing, if you run off the circuit and iRacing says you've gained time, then it will give you a penalty that makes you have to slow down. And that's very costly if you do get one of those. But still no change for the lead of this race. But further back, we've got cars all over the back of each other as they come onto the main straight. Oh, and there's a car off.
Yeah, Yuri Gemmelkorn in the 777 in the gravel traps, but he looks like he's going to the pits, so probably to change his front wheel. Let's catch the replay. Probably just a mistake. Let's see. Yes, typical Zandvoort mistake here. A little bit too wide, exiting the first right-hander, and when you catch the grass or the gravel with this iRacing tire model on the newer cars, it's no way out, and obviously we see him going back to the pit with some suspension damage.
Yeah, the car was crabbing quite a lot there. You can see he was having to steer left to go straight. That is not what you want your car to be doing at all. So he's gone to the pit lane, and I think he's just come out. I do believe drivers have a fast repair in this race.
Yes, seems like it. Most of the drivers who had the issues in the first lap are already back out, 1 lap down after towing back into the pits.
Yeah, definitely we can see some drivers towing side by side in this very tricky section of the track. Some banking on the inside there as well to help the driver on the inside out, and I'm not sure if that move stuck. I think that might have been David Plasman in the number 3 car trying to make a move on Charles Jalving, but he's not going to make that stick just yet. He's going to be in the draft, though. We can see all these drivers now putting out to the right hand side of the circuit. So we can see that move done there by Marcel Kempenaar, and he's moved up into 15th position. the Dutchies-Esports driver. In the number 18 car, he's made that move up very nicely. It's really the only overtaking spot that is feasible after the long straight. Get into the draft and make that move into the first corner, and then the camber on the inside will help you out if the driver does decide to hold it around the outside. And he's up in the 15th position.
The first corner is essentially the only unique passing spot where you can get your chances without risking too much. But if you are opportunistic, you see your opponents make any mistake in the fast section where you have to carry a lot of speed, you can always try to send it, especially when you start this middle section. You can surprise your opponent trying to pass on the inside and send it into the corner. Yes, let's have a look. As you can see, the first few rows everything alright, but row 5 somebody had a little bit, and then all chaos started to happen at the back. See people towing already back to the pit road. Obviously not much you can do there.
Yeah, that was a very big pile up there. Was a very large amount of cars involved in that one. We can see Fabian Siegman in the number 13 car. Unlucky for some, but he's in 4th position. He's chasing down Holland in 3rd, just in front of him, and you can see in that 36 car the driver from Texas, and he's trying to close down. He's about half a second back from the Texan. As we can see, Ilbrink has managed to, it seems he's got a bit of a gap in front. So they look like they're going to start catching on to some lap traffic, probably drivers involved in that lap 1 incident. Didn't even get to turn 1, it was all on the start finish straight, and oh, he's not done him any favours there, making him hold the outside line, and he's held up Sam in the 28 car. He's had to go all the way around the outside, and that's cost him a lot of time. He's now about 8 tenths behind, but here's David Holland. And the top 4 drivers seem to be equally separated at about 7 or 8 tenths there. With the number 12 car, I believe that's a van. There's 2 vans in this race, 3. There's a lot of vans. I think there's something maybe wrong with
there is a little,
the timing tower there.
Yeah, problem with the timing tower not getting the whole last name of the drivers. We have plenty of Van der Zande, Van der Kier. But obviously we have some limitation. Technology is always to be improved. So we're sorry for this little inconvenience. In the meantime, we see Holland in 3rd place. He's trying to catch quicker than Ilbrink. As you can see, the pace of the top 5 is very similar. But obviously any mistakes is gonna cost a lot of time, and not only mistakes but also lap cars, I guess, even though in real life it's not that often that you get to deal with lap cars, but in simulation you have also other challenges.
Let's have a look at this battle now here. This is the battle for 5th position, and there's a lot of cars going too wide through that tricky section of track. I definitely wouldn't be sticking my nose up the inside of anyone through there, but it looks like they've all come out cleanly, and I'm not entirely sure who made overtakes there. We lashed onto that one slightly late, but they're coming around the final corner now on towards the main straight, and this is going to be a big draft battle here, almost running 3 wide as they head into turn number 1, and they're still side by side, both drivers. Oh, and there's a bit of a push in front. Looks like they're still running side by side as they come in towards turn number 4. Who's going to back out? Still side by side, and it looks like, I think that's a Hundegraaff in 7th position has just made that move stick.
Very interesting battle here, 4-way battle. You can move from P6 to P10 in a second here if you don't be careful. So it's gonna be very interesting to see, because it's a long race. We are not used to see 1 hour races on the Formula cars. So there will be people taking the long game, others trying to attack, as we see here from Molstra, getting away from the 2 cars ahead, behind, sorry, Jim Hertries and Joy Helder, still side by side.
Yeah, they've been side by side for a while and it's slowed them down a bit. You can see how the drivers in front of them have managed to build up that gap. But Joey Alders has been right on board with him. In the 23 car, is taking all of that curb on the inside. You can afford to do that. Our racing is a bit lenient with the track limits there, but oh, he's caught up too quickly to Jim in front of him, and that's compromised his exit slightly, but he's going to have the line as they're coming towards turn 1. Who's that behind?
Good pass by Alders. And now he will, oh, we have a car, Yannick van der Zande. Yannick van der Zande is out of the track. Let's see if we can catch a replay of what happened. An unusual place to park the car. Let's see if he got some contact or... Oh yes, little incomprehension with the 38 car. The 38 car of Mattis Kervesi was trying to let him by, but it didn't work. Unfortunately, the track is very small, so a little mistake there by the drivers. Oh, again, got turned. Not the best day for the 30-year car thing.
Yeah, definitely not. He's been involved in a couple of incidents now, but we can see here is Stein Handgraf on the inside. Is he defending from Gear in 7th place? I'm not too sure.
Yes, behind we have the 19 car of Van der Geer, looking to get up to P6 and pass the UGX Berenga racing car. Now with a slipstream, which is in the F3 very strong, even though the straight is not that long. Let's see if he can stick it in the inside. Seems like it is true. So now free track ahead. Let's see if Van der Geer will be able to step up his pace and try to get to Bolstra, which is almost 4 seconds.
There's a big old gap in front of him, and he's pretty much equal pace with Bosch as well, with their last few laps almost identical. And their best lap is identical actually, which is not going to make his time any easier. He's also going to have that car of Handgraf in his mirrors at all times. He's not going to drop back too quickly, I'd imagine. And he's also going to have Alders in his mirrors in just a few moments time, I'm sure. He looks like he's catching onto the back of this small little train that's developing nicely. We can see Van der Geer not able to break the draft for Handgraf, as he actually had a little bit of a slide out of the exit of that corner. That's not going to help him too much. But if he can hold on to the back of Van der Geer here, he might have a good overtaking opportunity into turn number 1. As we've seen, he's right on the back of him, only about 3 tenths separating our drivers as they head around the final 2 corners. This one obviously just been reprofiled in real life. Oh, and that's Alders getting all sorts of wide onto the grass, and that slowed him down quite a lot. He's dropped back. As you can see now, that gap is over 1.5 seconds now, but we can see just in front of him, Van der Geer defending the inside of turn number 1, and Graf's not going to get past him there. But it looks like he's got a pretty decent exit. Can he make a move in towards turn number 3? No, he can't.
No, it's very difficult to pass here. Either you pass in turn 1 or you have to stay at the back, because going too wide in that little section is never a good idea with any kind of car. The track is very narrow, so it's gonna be very difficult. Meantime, we see here David Plasman in the 3 car looking to get by the 14 of Charles Jalvin, but no way to go there. He has to wait, stay in line, and see if he can pull out an attack here in this middle section.
Yeah, definitely, there's no way you can overtake here. We also saw that yesterday in the Porsche Esports Super Cup. That is the top level of racing. They were racing at Circuit Park Zandvoort yesterday, and David Plasman looks like he's going to make a move up the inside. Yes, he is. Holds the inside line. Is he going to drift into the outside? No, he's not. He's going to take the outside line. He's going to try and get the cutback, and he's going to have the outside line once again, still slightly side by side, almost touching as they headed into the penultimate corner. Here they go around the final corner now. We can see Tom Voss in the 33 car. He seems to be latching onto the back of this train as well. He might be having a look at David Plasman ahead, but Plasman's all over the back of Jalving now in that 3 car. He's going to make a move into the inside, and I don't think that's worked out just for him. No, it hasn't. He's having to stay behind. He'll have to wait probably another lap until he can get that move and try and make the move back into the sharp right-hander further on in the lap. Meanwhile, Kempen now in 13th position is latched onto the back of this train as well. So we've got a good 4-car battle evolving here.
Yeah, very nice battle here, developing. Hopefully it will be lasting the whole race, providing some nice entertainment to you guys at home. In the meantime, we saw Hertruis dropping from this pack to P18. He entered pit road, took the fast repair or a penalty, and he has a broken car now. What happened here? Very slow. See here in this twisty section, hit the curb and lost it entering the bank hairpin here. Very easy to do in Spain.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the more difficult braking zones and sections of the circuit. As we can see these drivers now. Paul Ilbrink just ahead of Sam Kruijtert. I'm going to continue to butcher these names, but he is right on the back of Paul Ilbrink. Paul Ilbrink obviously leading the iRacing official Formula 3.5 series at the moment overall, which is broadcast on ApexRacingTV. Oh, it looks like Sam tried to go around the outside there. Paul closed the door sharply in his face. Not going side by side with me here. So you can see pretty beautiful Allied Racing Esports livery on the number 28 car. He's going to try and hold onto the back of Paul Ilbrink and try and maybe make a move into this next corner that's coming up. The sharp right into the long left-hander. And we're going to see it now. I don't think he's close enough this time by it. He's going to have to wait until turn 1, I think. And we'll see if Paul Ilbrink can maybe try and hold that gap. Oh, and he'd almost touch. Much faster into the corner is Sam. And he's right on the back of Paul Ilbrink as they head round the final 2 corners on towards the main straight. He's going to try and use all of the draft he can. And I expect Paul Ilbrink to pull down to the right-hand side of the circuit. No, he doesn't. He holds his line.
Yeah, I think he can be defensive, but at the same time, it's still a long race, 40-minute race. Twitter seems to have a little bit of pace more compared to Ilbrink, so he might try to stay in this draft and pull away from Holland or Sigman mostly. Holland is defending pretty well. He's lapping at the same pace of Sam Kruijtert and Ilbrink for these first 20 minutes, but the German driver Sigman is struggling a little bit, so if he doesn't get lucky and with the lap cars or the leaders fight each other, he might be a bit behind.
Yeah, definitely. They're coming up to some lap traffic now ahead of them, as you can see, just coming off your screen every time we change cameras. But it looks like Holland is trying to latch himself onto the back of Ilbrink. Ilbrink, I think he just let him pass, didn't want to hold them both up too much. Like you said, Alessandro, it's a long race. There's still about 40 minutes left of it. And I believe we're going to have some pit stops in it as well, which will spice things up. You can see as they come around the final corner. And Sam will come around to complete his first lap as leader of the race. Some of the lap cars coming into the pits now.
It's a very twisty track. It's very, very beautiful to drive when you get a hang of it. So if you practice a lot and you understand the flow of this track, which is even more important with this kind of car, which it's depending a lot on aerodynamics and carrying a lot of speed through the corners. It's a blast to drive. If you have some difficulties, it can get very, very frustrating.
Yes, of course, especially at a circuit like Zandvoort. Lap traffic is going to be a factor in this, I'm sure. You can see further back, this is Cheryl Jalving in the number 14 car, right on the back of Voss in front of him. And he's not going to be able to make a move into this section. It's a very flowy section. He's not going to have any opportunity to make a move. It's a very tricky section, a lot of open corners. It's very wide, but the racing line is very narrow. As soon as you get off of that, there's very little grip, and you'll be into the sands, which is definitely not how you want your race to end. We've still got 40 minutes left of the race, and he's going to bide his time and wait for the move on the main straight, it looks like. You can see Marcel Kempenaar in the number 18 car just behind them. He's in the Dutchies-Esports team.
So far, apart from some little mistakes, the race has been very nice, a lot of battles all around. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of drivers lap 1. This could have spiced things up a little bit up front, but unfortunately racing accidents happen, so the drivers had the chance to reset, take the tow back to pit road and restart, so they can easily go back on the track and be part of this beautiful event.
We can see Tom Voss now in that 33 car in 11th position. He's got Jalving behind, but he seems to be able to keep him at bay for the time being. Only a couple of car lengths between the two drivers. So we can see the battle screen on the right hand side with all the gaps. If a gap is white, it means it's over a second. If it's yellow, that's less than a second. And if it becomes orange, as we can see between Voss and Jalving, that means there is less than half a second between the two drivers, which we can see here now. Both gaps ahead and behind of Jalving are orange. So he's got two drivers very close to him. And there's a sort of 4 to 5 car train building up here. Hopefully we can see some good overtakes some point in this race as well.
Tires are starting to fall off a little bit, so obviously who managed their tires best, meantime Luciana. Unfortunate. Charles Jalving trying to pass on the inside, flipped Tom Voss in the 33 and then collected also the unfortunate driver behind him. Let's catch the replay. It was an optimistic move. Obviously Tom Voss didn't expect this and shut the door. This is why, especially on longer races, you should tend to have like a more chilled approach. Try to get in the groove, not make any big mistakes, big dives, especially when you already see a lot of attrition in the first 15-20 laps.
Yeah, we're on lap 16 now, which is about to become lap 17 as the top 3 drivers all in a line, snaking a bit to try and break the draft. It's Sam in first position. We've got Paul Ilbrink in second, we've got Holland in third, Siegman in fourth, Walstra in fifth, Vandier in 6th position, we've got Hangroff in 7th, Alders in 8th, we've got Basoglu in 9th and Plasman in 10th position. Actually, all the drivers bunching up in towards turn 4 in the top 3 of this race. 25 minutes gone, and looks like it's going to be staying like this for quite some time. None of the drivers really catching up to the drivers in front. Hopefully we'll get all the grid starting to bunch back up again later on in the race, as we can see some more drivers retiring to the pit lane.
The race obviously is long, so you to get always a good result, you also need to give sometimes rather than try to defend 100% your position, as mostly happens in NASCAR. You don't see it on the screen most of the time, but in the end, if you watch back races at all kind of levels, you see plenty of drivers giving you the starting moments of the race and then slowly building back up their positions and fighting through the field. Especially in a 1 hour long race, you have plenty of time if you have a good pace to recover from some careful approaches, especially when you are around a lot of drivers, to make sure that your car stays all in one piece, considering that also the RF3 has the newest iRacing damage model, so any little touch is affecting your car even more in comparison to the old GT3's models.
It definitely makes for some really spectacular crashes like we saw on the opening lap of this race. I think iRacing have done a pretty fantastic job with the new damage model on most of the cars. It looks pretty awesome when bits of carbon fiber do go flying. We don't necessarily want to see it too much, but it's always a pleasant sight when we do. You can see riding on board with Paul Lilbrink now in his number 10 car. He's just dropping back a little bit, it seems, from Sam ahead of him. You can see the gap building just a little bit, about half a second between them. You can see how much curb they're taking through that section there. Really risking the track limit.
Not only for track limits, but also for equipment, because you never know. After the first few updates, the car now is handling much better these bumps, but a few months ago, if you got a curve a little bit too much, you might have damaged your suspension. So I'd rather be more careful on the curves, considering it's a 1 hour race, and you never know with the F3 car if just at one lap you get a bit too aggressive on the curbing there, you might have some issues.
This battle for the lead of the race, this 3-car train with Sam, Paul and David Holland. So we can see some lap drivers. There's Rob Camphouse, the F1 presenter on Ziggo-Sport. He's going to let the leaders past. As he goes side by side with Paul Lilbrink. He's going to move to the right hand side and just let them all past. But he's held up David Holland. When there was some contact there, his wheel did come off for a brief moment, but it looks like that was just a bit of lag on the iRacing server. But that's a pretty big hit, it looked like, on my screen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there will be some talks after the race, maybe after the event between the two drivers. But I think Rob was trying to do his best to get him out of the way, and obviously David didn't want to lose any time entering the chicane, sitting behind a slower car. Obviously, you have to take some chances, and didn't go really well.
You can see now Daryl Van der Geer, and it looks like Cangraf just ahead of him, going side by side through turn 1. And it looks like Cangraf has just got back ahead of Van der Geer. We saw them exchange positions just a few laps ago. We're now on lap 20, and Cangraf has taken the position back up into 6th place. And they're still trying to run side by side as Van der Geer in his number 19 car. But he's not going to be able to hold it side by side through this section. Let's see him come around towards this corner. Is he going to try and make a move maybe into the next corner? He's going to try and get a good exit so we can try and make the move. I'm not too sure if it's going to be close enough. I think he's about a quarter of a second behind. And he just moves out into the mirrors of Handgraf just to say, hello, I'm here. Try and unsettle the driver in front. And it looks like he's got a better exit as well. You see that gap coming down on the bottom right hand side. And he's going to try and get a good exit out the final corner, make a move to try and get back up into 6th position as they come around the final corner now. So we can ride on board with him. He's going to pull to the right hand side to make the move down the inside in towards turn number 1. And he's ahead before the braking zone as well, which is a fantastic move. Up into 6th position goes Van der Geer, and he's going to try and build that gap back up, and Handgraf is going to try and stay back on him.
In the meantime, we had Tom Bolstra entering pit road, not on our screens, probably for some fueling, I guess. We should be in the window to get to the end of the race. Driver of Vendetta-Esports in the 70 car. Classic orange livery, as we saw plenty of times during real racing events for Dutch drivers. He's in clean air, so he can easily keep on pushing. So if this is splitting the race in two is probably a good idea, but obviously you have to keep in mind that you might encounter slower cars on the track, not only lap cars, but also drivers for positions. Meantime, you see here Lindbrink defending from Holland. They are very, very close, but obviously they need to be careful, because if they fight too much, Kuitert might try to break away, and at the same time Sigman behind. Did I see Sigman spin entering there? Yes, he lost a few seconds. Let's see if we can catch a replay of that.
It definitely did look like there were some fresh tyre marks at turn 4. Not entirely sure if it would be on the events list for the replays. No, it's not, just been told, which is unfortunate. Maybe it wasn't too much of a spin, might have just been a little bit of a slide into turn number 4.
Alders in the 23, P7, in track ahead and behind, trying to put down some good laps. Last lap was a 1:31.38, 8 tenths slower than Sam Kuitert in the lead, but still a consistent lap time, very clean driving so far. And now back on the main straight. In this very long right-hander. In the meantime, we see also Stina Handgraf in the 31 entering pit road. And pulling into his pit stall. And this gives Handgraf, Kampenaar, sorry, P9.
Yeah, I think we might see some of the drivers starting to make some pit stops. You can see the times are dropping off earlier in the race. The leaders were setting 30.2s and now they're setting 30.8s. So we're definitely going to see some drivers dropping into the pit lane, maybe a fresh set of tyres, try and regain some of that lost grip from their current pair. They might even have to make a fuel stop as well. I'm not sure how big the fuel tank is in this F3 car. We'll have to wait and see as we reach the 35-minute mark of this race. We're on lap 23. We've got 25 minutes left, and Sam Kuitert in first position has built up a bit of a gap to Paul Elbrink. About half a second between these two.
steady pace for Kuitert after getting by Paul Hilbrink in the 10 car. He's putting some very consistent laps, and as you can see, he's pushing really hard, very close every corner to the white line, sometimes barely clipping the grass, but this is what professional drivers do. They always find the limit and they are consistently getting.
Definitely, you can see in some of these places they're running right onto the grass to try and just gain a little bit of an extra time in that section. See, not about halfway through the race, and Paul Hilbrink is just dropping back, it looks like, from Sam Quoted in first. He's got Daniel Holland to keep him honest though in third position, and if you look on the timing tower, the drivers that are in blue, they're about half a lap behind, and that means they're actually closer to being lapped than they are to overtaking, which means that all the way down to 13th position or 12th position of Damon, it looks like the drivers are starting to fall back towards the leaders. Those are drivers that are going to be met as lapped cars in not too long. It looks like Sam Quota's had a bit of a lock-up into turn number 1. It looks like his tyres might be struggling just a little bit. He's running up to some lap traffic. You can see on the battle screen on the bottom right-hand corner. We've got 20th position of Reitzmer. We've got Jalving just a few seconds ahead of him. And then also Hoyce in 17th position, but he's about 7 or 8 seconds ahead of the leader of this race on track. So he's going to be catching up to him very shortly.
I feel like Stratton is gonna play a very important role in this race, because with so many lap cars in front, if you get a proper strategy working and avoid all the lap cars in front by pitting before encountering them, you might be able to create a big gap and change the history of the race.
You can see just as the clouds start to cover the sun here in the Netherlands, you can see the track has got very dark. It's gonna maybe mess with some of the drivers, as we can see just behind Charles Jalving in 18th position are the leaders. And it looked for a second like Paul Hilbrink was under quite a lot of pressure from Holland. You can see that they're very close together. So we change our focus on to Paul Hilbrink as they head in towards turn 4. Oh, and it looks like a big lockup from Sam in ahead. His tyres really do seem to be struggling. I would not be surprised to see the leaders coming for some pit stops for tyres in the not too distant future. About 40 minutes gone in this race, 20 minutes to go as Holland's right on the back of Paul Hilbrink. Paul Hilbrink, we know he's fast from the Formula 3.5 series, got pole position here, but he seems to be maybe struggling with the tyres, with David Holland right on the back of him. And he's actually caught up the gap to Sam Quoted ahead of him a little bit, has Paul Hilbrink. Oh, a little bit of a slide from David Holland out of that corner. So we can see a lot of drivers into the pit lane. And it seems like
it's pretty packed going to pit road in these few laps. Visser making her way through onto Ostever for P13, a recovery driver for the driver in the 1 car.
And here it is, Sam Quoted into pit lane. Just about on the 40-minute mark. He's going to move to the right-hand side and into his pit stall. And you can see him actually removing the pit lane limiter. That's something that some of the drivers do to try and go slightly faster than the allowed pit speed limit, which they're perfectly allowed to do. And it looks like, I'm not too sure, I don't think he took any.
I think he didn't tires there because the car didn't lift up. I guess he only took some fuel, optimizing his time sitting on his stall.
Yeah, it was a very short stop for him, and now he has got some traffic ahead of him, but this is full position. Of course, with the pit stop, put him back a few places, and he's got Alders ahead of him. That's going to slow him down quite a lot. Meanwhile, Paul Elbrink out in first position has nothing of the sort. He's got nothing but clean air in front of him, and Sam Quater is going to have to try and find a way to get past Alders here. You can see more lockups from Sam. His tyres really didn't seem to be doing too well for him. So if he didn't take tyres on that stop, I'd be very surprised. You can see that gap just about 15 hundredths of a second. And Alders defending now. Of course, he's well in his right too. This isn't him getting lapped. He's making this move for position, but it looks like Sam's made his way through. And looks like David Holland has also dropped down onto pit lane. Paul Elbrink stays out. And let's see where he ends up relative to Sam Quaitert. He's going to stop in his pit box, and here is Sam Quaitert. And he is going to pass David Holland as you'd expect. Or is he? No, he's not.
Really. He got very slowed down in his exit lap from pit road, and this is what you get by pitting and getting caught in slower cars. Let's see if Quaitert with obviously warm tires will close the gap a little bit in this lap. And meantime, Paul Elbrink is still in the lead, clean track ahead, so he might be lucky enough to still have time to push hard with nobody in front and no distraction, and go back after his pit stop, in P1.
Yeah, and it looks like, who is that? That is Oosterveer ahead of him, just pulling onto pit lane. He looks like he's heading off. I saw our system measuring it as off track, and he's got some damage to his front wing. Paul Elbrink stays out for another lap, so it looks like he has got the fuel to carry on. I'm assuming that Holland and Quaitert pitted for fuel only, because neither of their cars seem to go up onto any stalls. You can see Paul Elbrink, with another big lock up there from Paul Elbrink into turn number 4. It's a difficult braking zone, it's quite bumpy as well. But if I look to where Holland and Quaitert are, Holland and Quaitert are right on the back of each other into turn number 1. Let's have a look at Holland, just defending from Sam just behind him. And it looks like he's caught right back onto the back of Holland. But if Holland holds him back just a little bit, Paul Elbrink might be able to get the jump on both of them when he eventually pits, because Paul Elbrink has got quite a few cars coming up in front of him. But if he pits this lap, I think he might be able to jump them both and keep the lead of the race. So we'll have to see what happens there. Paul Elbrink coming around towards the penultimate corner of the circuit. David Holland trying to hold off Sam Quaitert just behind him in the Allied Racing Esports car. You can see Paul Elbrink heading around the final corner. Is he going to pit this lap? No, he's not.
Quaitert has been very fast in the last lap. He had a nice fast lap, the same pace as Elbrink, so his pace is not showing any lack of speed, but obviously being faster than Holland on pace is one thing. Passing Holland now is gonna be definitely much more difficult. Still too far.
Yeah, you're right, he is just too far back. And it looks like a couple more drivers in the top few places in the grid have pitted. Looks like Van der Geer has pitted, he's dropped down into 7th position. Han de Graaf has also pitted and he's down into 8th position. So Van der Geer managing to gain a little bit of time in the pit stop cycle. can see the 10th place driver of Plasman now pitting as well. The driver's starting to pit now. I think Paul Ilbrink, it's only a matter of time before he pits. There's only 15 minutes left of this race. He's coming towards the penultimate corner now. He's got, as we can see ahead of him, I'm not too sure if he can see, but 4 lapped drivers ahead of him that he will be catching up to very shortly. You can see him now coming around the final corner. Is he going to pit this lap? It definitely looks like he is. He's pulled to the inside, and there he comes into a pretty tricky chicane with barriers very close on either side into the pit lane. And let's see, Siegmund's going to also come into the pit lane as well, it looks like, in second position.
Also Joy Alders from P5 to come in this lap. I guess we are approaching the end of the pit window. Meantime, we see Holland still defending from Quitter, and Ilbrink coming out here, threading the needle, and he's in front. But will he be able to keep P1 with the cold tires, which always are very tricky to handle on the first few laps?
Not too sure if he did take tyres or if it was just fuel. We'll have to see. We'll see if he is a bit slower on the first couple of laps. Then we'll know he definitely did take tyres. Like you said, there's very low grip when the tyres are fresh and cold. But that should looks like he's
also just standing there for a few seconds is cooling your tyres a tiny bit, and you feel exiting pit road. The car is not sticking to the track as per usual, so we see here Ilbrink struggling a little bit compared to Holland, but I feel like in the span of the next few laps, at least next lap, we should be ready to go 100%.
Yeah, that gap dropped back, loads through that tricky section of the circuit. Obviously his tyres are not up to temperature. He looks like he has definitely taken tyres then, has Paul Ilbrink. He's up into first position after the pit stop cycle, with Sam Coitet down in third. Holland's made up a place into second. Siegmund still in fourth position, but he's a bit too far back to make good on this battle. But we can see now Holland closing in on the back of Paul Ilbrink. Paul Ilbrink right to the inside to defend that one, and he's got a decent exit as well as they come just touching the curb on the driver's left hand side as they come in towards turn 3 and turn 4. Tricky braking zone. Are we going to see him lock up? No, we're not. That's a big lock up once again from Sam Coitet in third position. But it is crunch time. 12 minutes left of this race. Paul Ilbrink leads, but we've got a good battle for the lead of this race, looks like, as we come into the final 12 minutes.
Yeah, I was having a look at the live timing. Paul Ilbrink stayed 7 seconds on his stall, so I guess he took tires. Compared to Holland and Quitter, it's almost 2 full seconds slower. That's why I was a bit surprised to see him very close to this two-way group, because he did a very good laps before entering pit road, and this is maybe the reason why we see him struggling now. But if he took tires, I guess he will get a very big jump in the next few laps, because new tires are definitely much faster than 50-minute old tires.
Yeah, I reckon that if he has taken tyres, which we believe he has, he pulls right to the right hand side of the circuit, weaving to try and get rid of that slipstream into turn number 1. The Radicals Online driver in that beautiful red livery that he has on his car, but I do believe that these tyres are going to give him about half a second to a second's worth of time per lap if he can get them up to temperature and start using them to pull away from Holland and Coitet, and that's not going to be good for those two. Coitet's still not able to get past David Holland. I think it's only a matter of time, just a few tenths between them. And they're coming up to some lap traffic as well. Oosterveer in 17th place, just ahead of them. We'll see how traffic shapes things up.
Yeah, Ilbrink obviously needs to be very careful with lap cars. Now it's gonna be very difficult, even more because 10 minutes to go. no friends to show, so it's time to put the hammer down, try it the best, and hopefully lap cars will facilitate this job for the top 3 drivers, which are providing us with a great battle today.
Yeah, definitely the lap driver did get out of the way pretty well. He's not disrupted them too much. Kreuzer just a little bit dropping back just a little bit from Holland. The gap is still only 0.3 of a second, and it looks like he's closing in on the American driver. Paul Ilbrink says the fastest lap of the race so far. He definitely took tyres, and he's going to use that to try and pull away from the drivers ahead. There's now a second separating Ilbrink and Kreuzer.
Very different lines through this corner for Holland and Kuiter. Holland probably having a bit more front brake bias. We see him locking up sometimes. And also here we see different lines. This is the beauty of F3. So much downforce, drivers can afford to make some different lines. But I'm afraid that Kuiter this time we have a stop car. I guess to let the faster car by. Kuiter made a little mistake entering the first right-hander after the downhill and lost a bit of time.
That's unfortunate for him. But let's look a bit further down the field. We've got Damon in 12th position, and that's Hughes behind him. Has he maybe just made an overtake for position? I'm not entirely sure, but I think this battle has been going on for quite some time. The Trackside Legends driver, and he's going to be trying to make a move on Damon. You can see how much quicker he is through this section, just 1/10 of a second separating them. Paul Ilbrink sets another fastest lap of the race, gaining 0.4 of a second just on that last lap over Holland. Let's have a look. We've got slow down on the rear wing of Damon. See that quite a few cars in the F3, they do like to put some messages on the rear wing to the drivers behind them. You can see now he's not close enough, I don't think, to make a move up the inside here. He's not, he's going to drop back, he's going to wait for a mistake, or he's going to wait until turn number 1. You can see just how close these drivers are, especially in this camera. You can see there's just about a car's length in it. He's come around the penultimate corner towards the final one, which is all really taken sort of like one long right-hander. But we can see just how close he is as he pulls right to the inside, does Damon, and he's going to lose the position out to Peter de Hoijs. They're side by side into the braking zone, and it looks like he's just backed out a little bit. He's going to try and get a good exit and run side by side towards turn 3. Yes, he is. They're still almost side by side, but Peter de Hoijs has to back out of that one in my car, the number 24.
Yeah, very nice battle. De Hoijs trying his best to get past both Damon in a clean way. In the meantime, we see the first ever lap under the 1 minute 30 barriers, 1:29.98 for Paul Ilbrink. It's gonna be interesting to see in the interview if he joins us to see whether this was the strategy plan from the start or he saw the gap opening up after the first 2 pit stop by Holland and Kuiter and decided to put some tires on to make sure to pull away. It's gonna be interesting.
I'm sure he will come down for an interview. Paul Ilbrink, he loves an interview on Apex Racing TV. We always love having him in for the Formula 3.5 series he was in last night, so hopefully he'll join us for an interview after this race. There's just about 5 minutes left of this one, and like you said, Paul Ilbrink absolutely flying right now, but we're focusing on this battle. But Damon almost touching is Peter de Hoijs just behind him. We can see all the way to the inside. Once again, defending the inside line is Damon in that 34 car. The 24 car of Hoijs just alongside him, and once again Damon manages to hold on to that inside line very well. This is a great little scrap happening here for 12th position.
Yeah, we saw Hoyes trying several times here in turn 1, but he didn't actually try to stick to the inside so far. Mostly trying around the outside and then the switchback exiting the corner, because if you get the inside before the start of the twisty section coming to the famous banked airplane there, obviously you have a lot of advantage. But oh, very aggressive Damon on the curb there.
Yeah, he's very confident in his car to get all up over the curbs like that, but he's still right on the back of Damon. Is he maybe going to make a move into the hairpin? He thinks about it, moves over to the inside, but he's not going to get past this time. He's not going to have too many more opportunities. I reckon he's only going to have maybe 3 more chances at this one, as we've got 4 laps to go.
Let's see if this time is gonna be a little bit more aggressive. Oh, he's coming into the pits. Short on fuel.
He might have made a bit of a gamble when he pitted for fuel earlier. Or maybe he didn't fuel save enough. Either way, he's having to pit. Looks like just for a splash and dash. Only a 4-second pit stop and he's back on his way. So definitely unfortunate for him. And he's just being lapped by Paul Ilbrink, who is absolutely flying with another 29.994 as he gets past these lap drivers with no problem. He's got a 2-second lead over Holland now, and I think with just 3 minutes to go, it's pretty much well in the bag for him as long as he can keep it consistent. We've seen consistency be a bit of a problem for him in the past. I'm thinking back to just earlier in the season, Formula Renault 3.5 at Imola. He had a pretty shocking day there, but looks like he's doing just fine now, and we'll see in just a few minutes' time if he can hold on to take the win.
Yeah, for sure. Paul always been a top-notch driver here on Apex Racing TV in official racing events. Open wheeler specialist for sure. Meantime, in the fight for P2, Holland is still having 1 second on some quitters, so he's defending really well and trying to pull away now with 2 laps, maybe 3 laps, given the fact that Paul is racing like a madman in these last few laps and his pace has stepped up a little bit. We might see maybe Twitter trying to close up the gap, but as we can see here from our scoring system in the last few laps, Twitter has been struggling a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's another lock-up from David Holland, but he's just set his personal best lap of the race. Which obviously is fuel running low, allowing him to set those times. His tyres are very worn at this point. It's a 130.3. You can see the gap between Holland and Coiter, just about a second between the 2 drivers. I don't think Coiter is going to be able to catch up onto the back of him unless Holland makes some kind of big mistake. Obviously, then getting past him would be another task in its own. So you come around turns 9 and 10 now.
Pushing really hard. He certainly will be hoping for some lap traffic slowing Holland down in these laps, but unfortunately the car of Deo is the only car in the very near to him, so he will have to make a mistake to catch back to Twitter.
We have got Paul Ilbrink now on the white flag lap of the race. Lap 40, they've got 40 laps under their belt, but here is Larry Delaney, the organiser at Dutchies-Esports. He's having to defend from Doe in at 23rd position for 22nd. This is very close between these two drivers. They've got to watch out for Paul Elbrink behind them, and this could be interesting for Paul Elbrink. These two drivers battling is going to make it difficult for him to get past, as it looks like Alders had to make another pit stop. Obviously miscalculating his fuel. It's a shame for him, it was only one lap left of the race. But Paul Elbrink catching up to these drivers, having a bit of a battle. Are they going to be nice and let him through, or are they going to hold him up? There's just about 2.5 seconds between Elbrink and Holland. But there is Doe being a very kind driver and allowing Paul Elbrink past. Here's another battle that we've seen a lot of. We've got Damon now. He's now got Vasquez on his tail, and they're going to start their last lap of the race. We can see behind some more drivers going side by side. Not sure if they are battling for position. No, they are. That is another Dutchies-Esports driver, Martin. We've got Rob Camphouse as well in 20th position. These two drivers battling on their last lap of the race. But meanwhile, Paul Elbrink has crossed the line to win, followed by Daniel Holland and Sam Koitert, your top three. Siegman in 5th position. Oh, and there's a big smash in turn 1. I think that was Wallstra there in 5th position. No, it wasn't. That was someone else. But that was an absolutely huge crash. It might have been Siegman, actually.
Some post-race festivities.
Yeah, definitely some post-race fun. Just checking out the new damage model in all its glory. That was an absolutely huge wreck there. But here we go. Rob Camphouse, all sorts of loose as they come in out of turn 9 towards turn 10. Side by side in the entry there, we've got a spinning car there as they both move up a position that they don't. Oh, and there's contact! That sent Rob Camphouse into a spin. And Martin is still going on the grass. Oh, he's missing a tyre there. Right at the end of the lap as well. And oh, Rob Camphouse spins once again. He's got, you can see his rear right tyre is not connected at all.
He will try to limp onto the straight and get scored for this lap. Carefully, hopefully, because with a broken right rear, it's not gonna be easy. It's not a very nice feeling and a nice experience to drive with a broken suspension, unfortunately.
He manages to hold on to 21st position, but DeLang in 20th position just ahead of him. We've got some drivers leaving the pits just in front of him. Not too sure what happened there. I'm pretty sure you can't take a pit stop. It is your race winner then, Paul Elbrink, for Rallycars Online. Finishing his in-lap, he's going to come into the pits like a professional. He's hopefully going to be joining us for an interview, and we've got about 20 minutes for interviews, so lots of time to get as many drivers in as possible. And we'll just wait a few minutes.
I see Paul already in our waiting area, so very, very fast.
He has worked very quickly. Let's see what's happening on track. We've got some donuts here, which is fantastic to see. Even down in 28th place, he's enjoyed himself in the 21 car. And we can bring you the race results. So Paul Elbrink winning by about 1.5 seconds over David Holland, and we've got Sam Koitert in 3rd position. Then we've got Fabian Siegman in 4th. Then we've got Tom Wallstra, Daryl Gear, Stein Heingraf, Alan Basoglu. We've got Joey Alders, Marcel Kempenaar, David Plasman, Pietsko Visser. And then we've got Charles Jalving, Wout Damon, Oscar Wilkins, Peter de Huys, Perry Oosterveer, Jasper Rijken down in 18th position. All of these drivers at the bottom are a lap down. And then we've got Fabian Baumeister, Larry Delange, and we've got Rob Camphouse, Martin Verschwielen, we've got Raymond Doe, Davey Reitzma, Mark Verscheur, we've got Rick Venema, then we've got the 27th position driver for 528 Munir, Michael Coopers, we've got Jeroen Van Kestersen, we've got Karsten Ayek for Allied Racing Sports, we've got Matthias Avisi, Yuri Gamakon, Tom Buss, Tim Rutten, Jim Herchoice, then we've got Yannick Van. I'm assuming there's a name after that one, but unfortunately we're not able to see it.
Then
we've got Leo Ike in 37th position. Obviously all of these drivers from now were taken out in that big first lap wreck, which was very unfortunate for them. But I think we're going to head down to get some of the drivers in for interviews. I think first up we have to go to our race winner. He does love having an interview here on Apex Racing TV. And it is Paul Ilbrink who joins us in the commentary box. Paul, how was that race for you?
Amazing. It's been one of the best races I've ever done with consistency, so I'm really happy.
That's great to hear. Your pit strategy was very different to some of the other drivers. Did you take tyres on that pit stop?
Yeah, I did, but it was a real big gamble. Like, I probably should have had a spotter that could tell me if the others took tires or not, but yeah, I was looking at the relative and I saw that Sam was behind David, so they swapped positions. So in my mind, I figured that Sam took tires and already caught up to David again after he stopped. So that was the info that I based my tire stop on. So I took tires as well, but apparently I was the only one. And yeah, I got out ahead, and I guess it showed at the end that I had a bit better pace and could drive away from them again. So yeah, I'm really happy with that decision, and yeah, happy to take the win.
You're definitely the only person to break into those 1 minute 29s as well after you took that tyre stop. What happened with Sam was he took his fuel stop, he just did a splash and dash, no tyres, and then he got stuck behind some other drivers further back down the field, and then he ended up coming out behind David, who held him up a little bit as well, which allowed you to come out back in the lead of the race, which was very fortunate for you. And then obviously with your new tyres, you just drove away from them, absolutely flying on those last few laps. So congratulations from that one.
Yeah, it was a bit tricky on the first laps because with the new tires, when they're cold, etc., they don't have the best grip, and it takes like 2 to 3 laps almost to get really up to temp. So I was a bit scared that they might make a move into turn 1, but luckily I could defend the inside and could keep the lead.
Yeah, definitely you did a fantastic job there. It's now a long race. That was a bit longer than you're used to. I guess with the Formula 3.5 races, they're normally a bit shorter than that one, but how did you have to change your mentality to prepare for the 1 hour race?
Well, not really. I mean, I've been driving in the World Championship in F1, which had like an hour and a half long races. So in the end, it's still a long sprint race. This, like, you have to be so quick and consistent to be able to fight with these guys like Sam and David, because they really had amazing pace as well. And like, the pit stop decided everything, I guess. And yeah.
What a fantastic drive from you. Thanks for joining us in the commentary box. I'm going to head down to David in just a moment's time. Before we do you want to give anyone a shout out?
Sure. I want to thank all my teammates at Radicals Online for their support, and our partners and sponsors: Armor Center, Cranfield Simulation, Track Racer, Joe Real Timing, Turn Racing, MOATF Podcast, Six Sideways, and Pixel Dust for the nice looking skin. And of course, all the guys like Larry and his friends for organizing this race, and you guys for doing a nice broadcast, and everybody for making this such a fun event to participate in.
An absolute pro at the shout-outs, Paul Ilbrink, obviously very used to it. Thank you for joining us in the commentary box, and we'll see you for an interview in the not too distant future, I'm sure.
Yeah, sure. Will be fun. See you.
Thank you very much. Alessandro, I believe you've got David Holland for us in the commentary box next.
Yeah, indeed. Let's see if we can bring him up. David, can you copy?
Hey, yeah, I got you guys.
Hi, David. An heck of a race. Very, very, very good battle. We had so much fun. Unfortunately, sorry, after the pit stop, it got a bit disrupted.
Yeah. First, huge congrats to Paul. He definitely earned that one. That was a great race, but Yeah, you're right. It looks like the pit stops pretty much decided that one. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I was just kind of playing it by ear on if I was going to take tires or not. And coming into the stop, the car still felt great. But unfortunately, shortly thereafter, the tires pretty much fell off of a cliff, and it was everything I could do just to hang on to it.
Yeah, sure. We saw Paul changing his strategy at the moment when he saw you and Sam fighting really hard, and he took tire, and that obviously proved to be the decisive move of the race. Apart from that, a very, very beautiful pace, very nice and clean laps and battles all around. Definitely gonna look forward to do another event like this, I guess, because it's been a blast to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to be a part of future events like this. It was a lot of fun. Honestly, just kind of happy to be here. I actually forgot about this race. My teammate reminded me yesterday, and I didn't have any time to practice. And then I got the times mixed up this morning. I thought I was joining with an hour left to practice. Turns out I joined during qualifying. So I kind of just went out there and did my best, and I'm happy with how it turned out. Definitely.
Oh yes, definitely, because you had a very, very good pace anyway. So congratulations for that. And anyone you want to thank?
Yeah, absolutely. I got to thank my team, Dutchies-Esports, and also all the organizers that put this on, and you guys for the fantastic broadcast.
Thank you very much, David, and catch you next time. Thanks for the beautiful.
Sounds good.
Well, Dane,
Right. Yeah, we've
who
got third place driver Sam Koitet. I'm going to butcher his name once again. We'll get him into the commentary box. Sam, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Hello.
Fantastic stuff. Very maybe disappointing race for you, finishing in third position after leading quite a lot of that one.
Yeah, a little bit disappointing. The pit stop was not quite as planned. Was standing a little bit too long still, and didn't get new tires like Paul did. And yeah, I came right behind Joel Ardlish, and I was just losing like half a sec, maybe 2 seconds that round, and that's where David came in front. So yeah, that was not the best, but yeah, still third position, first time 60 minutes race, so in my opinion not that bad.
Yeah, definitely not a bad position at all. That driver that you got stuck behind definitely did cost you quite a bit of time there. We saw that on the broadcast. But tell us a little bit about Racing Esports, a very young esports team, and a good position to see on the broadcast as well.
Yeah, we're really young. I just joined the team. So yeah, I'm just raced my first AOR race past Friday, and the week before also. I won just past Friday with the team. We work good together with my teammates Laszlo and Nicholas, also Jordan. So yeah, it's going great, and just moving forward also on AOR. That's the important thing now.
That's fantastic to hear. We're gonna go to another driver for an interview in just a moment. Before we let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
No, not in particular, man. Thank you. Just maybe Karsten that I can join the team, but not in particular.
Thank you to the team manager Karsten there. Thanks for joining us, Sam. Hopefully we'll get you for another interview in the not too distant future on Apex Racing TV.
See you tomorrow on what it is, Formula Driver Challenge.
Oh yes,
That is.
I'll be there.
I will.
So you'll be joined
will
by
try
Alexander.
I will try to join then again if I'm in the top 3 or 5.
I really appreciate it.
No problem, man. Good luck.
All right.
Alrighty.
We've got one more driver, Alessandro.
Yes, we have, I guess, Larry DeLange. If I hopefully, Larry, welcome to the broadcast.
Hi, hello.
How was your race? Everything alright? And I see you finished 20th. Getting some places, hectic finish.
Yeah, I was also spun off at the start, so I had to get my fast repair. And yeah, after that you're gonna drive a little bit safer. not that good. But it was a nice race.
Yeah, for sure. I guess you will have a lot of fun also watching back the broadcast, because we had plenty of battles all over the place, from the front to the midfield to the back. And apart from that little issues, lap 1, I guess this event has been a success.
Yeah, I think also. Yeah.
Just a little personal question, since you are here.
Yeah.
This event is like this particular year where we are facing a lot of difficulties, and obviously nobody has the chance to go racing. This is like the old F3 Masters. It has been used to race here at Zandvoort or Zolder for a few years from the early 2000s.
Yeah. That was the idea.
Yeah, I guess so. Very good idea, very nice event to put in place, because that is an historic event that has been taking place for 20 years, and I don't know if this year, with all the circumstances, we will be able to bring it on, but at least we had the revival here on Dutchies-Esports Twitch channel and on our broadcast.
Yeah, it was awesome to have you guys. And maybe we see each other in the next one.
Oh, for sure. We look forward to hear from you and to provide some other great racing. Thanks for joining us. Do you want to thank anybody before jumping out?
Yeah, I want to thank all of them, everyone who subscribed to do the race. I want to thank Dutchies-Esports for providing all the stuff and all the people who helped us. It was awesome.
Thank you very much, Larry. This was Larry DeLange, finished P20, but mostly he is the man who made everything possible.
Thank you, mate.
Well then, I guess this is the last interview for today.
Yeah, that's all of the drivers that we had for an interview, and this one we managed to get the top 3 drivers, which was nice. And I think we've still got a few minutes left of the broadcast to go through, so I think we can try and get some insight on what happened at the start. We had a really big incident there, but then Paul Ilbrinker was a fantastic drive from him. Good strategic mind as well, without a spotter and everything, trying and work out what his opponents were doing in the pit stops. Obviously, it's not like some other games or sims where you can see how others have done in the pit stops. You really have no idea what's going on. We'll see now. We can get a replay of the start of the race, it looks like. And let's have a look at what happened here. We've got just one driver missing from the grid at this point. And let's see what happens there. There they go. In slow motion, we can see what happened at the back of the field. That's where I'm paying my attention to. Someone gets loose and then collected by the driver behind. That looked like Bajskavissa getting loose. And then it all unfolds behind them. No escape for any of these drivers, all spinning around. And that is a really huge wreck. A lot of drivers spinning around. It's actually a massive sight to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, when you have somebody up front spinning tires with so many cars on the track and such a narrow track as Zandvoort is, it's not easy. This car is a bit tricky to get started, because if you push the pedal 100%, you're gonna slide the rear tires a lot. You have to be very gentle and make sure to put the throttle input at the right time, otherwise you are not going anywhere.
Yeah, definitely, and we can see it on board now. Let's see what happened there. This is from the driver behind, Bajskavissa getting a really awful line and trying to anticipate which way he was going to go. And then this all caused this huge incident at the front. You can see the leaders getting through unscathed, but then behind them in the background, under the bridge, all of this going on with the drivers left, right and center spinning around in circles. Already some drivers retiring to the pit lane before some drivers had even got to the first corner. So it's a very unfortunate race for a lot of people.
Yeah, with so many cars on the track, obviously the start is very, very active. We saw also in yesterday broadcast for the Formula Driver Challenge. We had at Autodromo Carlos Paz in Interlagos. But overall, a very, very, very entertaining race. I had a lot of fun commentating here this race with you, Dane, and Sam on the cameras. I genuinely hope to see these guys back in the near future.
Yeah, maybe we can see them back for a race at Zolder, like you mentioned just a few moments ago in the interview. If they could organize another event like this, I'm sure Zolder would give us a little bit more of an exciting race maybe than Zandvoort. Very different style of circuit, a few more overtaking spots at Zolder. But that has been it from us at Apex Racing TV on the Dutchies-Esports Twitch channel. F3 Masters of Zandvoort has finished. Paul Ilbrink winning the race and taking the spoils, but he's more than comfortable winning big events such as this one. I've been Dane Baird, joined by Alessandro Dalladoni with Sam Kuno on the cameras and overlay, and from everyone at Apex Racing TV and Dutchies-Esports, we thank you for watching and happy racing.